is the Prepared Irishman. He's going to talk briefly about ham radios and what to do, what not to do, and what we all need to do. With that, Jim, it's all yours, buddy.
Hello, everybody. Wow, this is a nice turnout. Trent did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, he did.
So, all right, so we're going to talk about comms. I know everybody loves comms, so this should be a great class for you. First off, I have a ham radio amateur license. I also have a GMRS license. I got started because of certain events in my life that led me down this road. I figured, let me learn about this, and everything that I researched led me to ham radio. There's a lot of options when it comes to comms. There's FRS, which we were using today. There's GMRS, which you need a license for. There's MURS, you don't need a license for. This is all with your Bofang radio. And then there's a ham radio, the ham bands, certain frequencies that you need licenses for. So today we're going to discuss some basic terms so you guys can understand a little bit. We're also going to talk about, everybody asks me the question of, like how do I get started if I have a group, my family, loved ones, so on and so forth. So we're going to go through that stuff and kind of walk you through what you need to do. We're going to talk about the Bofang radios because everybody has these. And then we're going to talk about licenses, how to get one and how to prepare for it. So, some basic terms I'm going to hit you up with. First of all, when we talk about radios, there's three basic types of radios. There's the handhelds, which everybody has these. There's a mobile rig, which is this one right here, which you can put in your car. You're not really supposed to carry in your backpack. I've done it, but they have smaller versions if you're going to do that. And then you have the base stations, which are usually bigger versions, better, more powerful, so on and so forth. Second, your licenses. There's three classes of licenses currently. There's a couple other ones grandfathered, but we're not going to talk about it. The first license you're going to get is your technician's license, which basically you'll need to operate this. It covers a little bit more, but basically your technician's part of the bands, UHF, VHF. Then you got HF, general, which covers HF. And then you got extra, which is the top one, which covers all HF, VHF, and UHF bands. So when we talk about frequencies, there's three frequencies I just mentioned: UHF, VHF, which is this radio, and that's usually short distance. Not too far, maybe anywhere from 2 miles. And we're going to talk about repeaters in a second, and it'll extend it a little bit. Then we got line of sight. So when we work these radios, if this antenna can see this antenna, you can talk to each other. But if there's an obstacle like a mountain in between us, it's not going to happen. Doesn't matter how much power you're pushing, what type of antenna you have, it's not going to happen. Now HF works differently. This is actually, this rig's everything, but I use it for HF. This rig, I can talk all over the world, states. It's not so much great for shorter distance, so there's this one will fill in the gap where this one dies off. Basically the way this works is, you see this big antenna up here, I just put it up before. This one, instead of going to antenna, this one will go off the sky, the ionosphere, and then bounce down like a continent away, a state away. So that's basically when you talk about the frequencies that we're talking about, the three frequencies and how they work. There's a thing that we hear all the time is repeaters and simplex. Simplex is radio to radio. A repeater is basically a radio transmitted to a repeater, which is usually higher up. So if you have that mountain away, the repeater will be on top of it. So it's basically relaying the message, which will extend the range. And that's why everybody wants to use these repeaters, but you need a license for it. Okay, so now when we're talking about extending the ranges of this, there's a couple of terms I'm going to hit you with. Height is might. The higher you go with the antennas, the better off you are. Think about it. If I want to transmit like short distance, all right, there's trees and stuff, I can hit Mike or anybody else here a mile or two away. But if I really want to go further, I want to start climbing. Top of your house, top of the roof. Get above all these trees as much as you can. And that will extend the range. It's still limited though. The repeaters, usually you talk about like in New York City, they have them on these high rises and stuff. They have better antennas and, you know, more power pushing it. So, for example, I know a lot of people from different areas, but I've been in Harriman Park. I've talked all the way out to Suffolk County through the right repeaters. Not every repeater is equal. You know, there's some repeaters better than others. So just remember that. Power. A lot of people will get like these these big batteries. Oh, this one pushes out 8 watts. It helps, but it doesn't help that much. Getting high is the most important thing. The second thing is the antennas. These radios were given to me for demonstrations. This antenna right here is decent, but these antennas, I believe they're Brie, right?
What's that?
The military, the antenna, Brie, right?
I'm not sure.
They're Brie.
Yeah.
There's knockoffs of this, so be careful when you go online. You can do research, I'll tell you which ones or whatever. But that's, you know, get a good antenna. I would also recommend getting a really good battery. This is, both these radios are the same, but this battery, you can buy it on the side and it will give you a little bit more power, last longer. Okay, so now we're going to go into trying to talk to our loved ones and families and stuff. There's a couple of steps. One, everybody involved in your group, your family stuff, they have to get licenses. It does not work. I've heard every excuse under the book. Jim, I don't need a license to push a button during an event. Nobody's going to come get me. That's true. But how do you know if they work if you don't test them? You know? So you have to get the licenses. 2, you have to create a plan. So when you create a plan, what frequencies are you going to work on? What times are you going to reach out to talk to each other? It matters because when something goes on, you're on the radio and meanwhile nobody's answering you back or this, that, and forward. So you want to make sure that you have like at top of the hour, every hour. You're going to also save your battery too by doing it in certain intervals. Having those frequencies. And also too, think about it. The first thing you should be doing is using your phone. That goes down, go with text messaging. Third, ham. If that goes down, have like, you know, if everything fails, this is what we're going to do, whatever it is that you agree upon. Third, once you get the plan together, you got your licenses, test it. You got to see if it works. I work with a couple of people and, you know, we go on certain frequency. Frequency works for him, but doesn't work for him. So now you got to work on some things. Usually the next step will be upgrading that equipment. These radios are very limited. You might have to go up to a mobile. You know what I mean? Get a better antenna, get it higher. So, and then once you upgrade the equipment, test it again until you have everything worked out. Because it's important, like I said, everybody comes to me. Oh, there's an event, they're panicking. What do I do? Well, you should have been doing this before, not now. It's hard to help. It's like when people talk about prepping, they're panicking, they come to you, like, you should have been doing it all along. I can't do anything for you now. So do that. All right, so the Bofang radios. How many of you guys have these things? All right, quite a few. Do you guys know how to operate it? Okay, all right. I'll go over a couple of functions here. Some of these things are really straightforward, but some of you might not know it. On-off button right here. Not my radio.
Those are local PD.
Okay, so volumes here, turn it on or off. The antenna, you can upgrade them. I recommend upgrading them out of the box. Get the best antenna that you possibly can. What I like to do is when you're carrying these things, if they don't fall off from the trailer on you, I like to see like this right now. Where are you going to put it? So, you know, some guys will put it here. This antenna is like pain in the neck. So what I'll do is I'll go, like we're doing something like that. The little stubbies that you get are great. I'll take this off. I'll put it in my pack. But when I need the better antenna, that's when it goes on. There's mics for these things, everything. All right. I used to know these radios really well. I used to be able to do it like this without even looking. All right. So you got the orange button right here. So the orange button is frequency and channel mode. Channel mode is all those stations that you program into the radio. You can On the new ones, I don't know. I think he's still programmed from the front, but there's a program called Chirp and a cable, and you can preset everything in there if you need to. One of the most common things is people come up to me, can you program my radio? Yeah, I can program your radio. But you live here, she lives there. This has to be customized for your needs. So by me putting some stuff in, it may work for you, it may not. So you really should spend the time and learn it. Next button right here is the AB button. So there's 2 channels here, right? Sometimes people split it up in the frequency, the numbers, and then the actual place, like ISOP. And there's a number next to it. One on top, it says 462612, which is on the bottom. If you transfer down there, is FRS3. And this button will just make you go up and down, up and down. It's really that forward. Another great button on this, I'll come during the hike and set this radio for you. And all of a sudden, I'm talking to you, there's no answer. Why? Because they accidentally had it in their pocket and it goes off. That will lock you. Now you can't do anything. You can talk, but you're locked in. So it's a good button. And to unlock, you just press the button again. It's on over here. All right, these buttons on the side. Let's see what they do. Now, if I had another radio, usually, and it's set on the same frequency, if somebody's like over here hiding on me, it's not on. So I'll hit this and all of a sudden he'll be tipped off. It's like, it's a distress call, basically. And it goes to the other Bofang radios. I don't know if it's on the same frequency, but you can tell, do you have it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Let's see. Nope, it has to be on the same frequency then. So if somebody's, we were all on FRS 7, somebody falls, and all of a sudden I hear that, it's a good function now. That's off, I have to turn it on. The bottom button here, down here, everybody see the button where my thumb is? That works the light. It's not the best light in the world, but if your light goes out, it's something. And it flashes too. How about that? FM radio. So if you press this button instead of holding it down like I did before and you got that flashing, I don't know what frequencies around here. I would have to tell.
97.1 ESPN.
What is it?
97.1. No. Dayton. I don't know. Columbus, yes.
I can't see. We're not getting
I
that.
can't help you there.
All right. The clip here for putting on, like I said, you got to find a home. You're going to have to find, where it is. I talked about the battery before. I highly recommend getting the battery for these things and the antenna. Also, too, on these things, I didn't point it out. Does it have it on this one? On some of these batteries, where is it? Does it have it on this one? No, it doesn't.
Yes,
Wow.
see.
On some of the batteries, oh, here it is. I'm blind. You can get a USB charging cable, which is kind of cool because if you're out in the field or something, you just got to get the right, the right thing for it. But usually they come with the stand and you plug it in here, and it's like, I ain't taking that charger out in the field. That's ridiculous. So you can get something that goes into that, but it only comes with the bigger batteries, not the smaller batteries. What else? I think the clip. I hate the clip. It sucks. It always breaks. It comes, nobody does this, but it comes with a little thing with a little string. Maybe hang it a little bit. You'll figure that out. All right, so what can this radio do? It can do a lot of things. I mentioned a couple different frequencies out there, like, FRS, you don't need a license for. Technically, it's not legal on this, but nobody's going to come get you or whatever. GMRS, you do need a license for, but it's similar to ham. There is some more limitations, but to me, that's probably a nice second. You can hit the repeaters, usually they close. The power outage, you can't pump as much power through them, or put the antenna, you have to, there's all types of regulations as far as heights. But that's an option. It's not a test, it's a money fee. I think it's like $75. Anybody? 75? Yeah.
Yes.
And 4 people. He actually has the license.
35 now.
Is it? It went down.
Yeah,
Of course.
GMRS dropped down to 10, I think.
Is it? It's getting better. Wait a couple more seconds, we'll get down to nothing. But up to 4 people can use that license. So if you have 4 people in your household, it's not a bad gig. And like I said, it's not ham, but it's a nice second. Yours was a business frequency, they gave it to us. You don't need a license for that either. I like Mures because not a lot of people go on it. So, if you want to communicate with the group or whatever, everybody knows about FRS everywhere in the country. Like, you guys use it too. So if I go on that, it's not like down the common path. Here's another thing. I don't have this radio hooked up. There's certain frequencies that you can use your phone to talk to your radio. It's through the internet. But there are certain applications. Everybody say, well, yeah, I need something when something goes down. But there's certain areas like around, let's say, I'm going to say here, where you have no cell phone coverage. But if you have the radio, I could talk to you from anywhere in the world to talk to you here. So it's an option. Licenses. Let me get to licenses. Licenses for ham radio. I'm not going to kid you. It's a little bit of work. But look, if I did it, you guys can do it. There's all types of apps for it. If you go to the ARRL website, I think it's .org, don't quote me on that, you can Google it, Amateur Radio Relay League. Basically, they'll hook you up with clubs in the local areas. Sometimes they have classes, sometimes not, you gotta check. But they can help you. You go in there, hey, I don't know anything about it, this is what I want to do, and they'll set you up. Also, too, when you talk about ham radio, everybody thinks about talking. There's so many different types of modes. There's digital, text messaging. We're talking about that, sending pictures and stuff like that. Morse code. Morse code's kind of cool too. I think we had a conversation one time where we were talking about there's no secure radios. Yeah, comms.
Right.
You're right.
Yep.
But what you can do is by using different modes. How many people here know have a license, for example? Wow, nobody. All right. Okay. So basically, but you can listen, right? You can hear whatever I'm saying to whoever. How many people here know Morse code? All right. But look, all right, there's 2 people here, right? So think about it. I just eliminated everybody else. I just have to worry about those 2 people.
Yep.
How about digital modes? Who here has digital capability? You do too?
Well, no, I know digital. I don't have it.
Oh, sorry. So then I just eliminate all you guys. Even though you can, like, it's
Right.
available to everybody, not a lot of people have it. So basically, I'm narrowing the field a little bit. There is a course that our leader here today is
So
going to
with
recommend.
that, how many of you would be interested in getting your license?
Good answer.
One of our affiliates, hamradioprep.com, you can go there and buy their course material. They guarantee you to pass the test, or they give you your money back. You use the coupon code VISION20, you get 20% off on everything you buy.
you go.
Fantastic.
One last thing. I'm just going to do a quick thing. Let's see what we can hear here. This radio, I don't know what we're going to hear. Before, I think we were listening to New York, I think.
Yep.
But just to give you an idea. I'm also running, even though this is a big battery, I can run more, I'm running 5 watts now. The same as this.
Same time.
Just max power on this. Let's see what we can pull up. Turn it. Need some music at this part.
Doom, doom, doom.
Thank you.
Would you be able to put that on the handheld too?
No. This is long distance. So that was just Florida. I don't know if you hear. Let me see if I can get something clear.
That was Florida.
Yes, it was.
I can too.
All right. One more try. Pennsylvania. So you notice that I can hear the one guy, but I can't hear the other guy? There's a learning curve to this. There's an event coming up at the end of June. Let me turn this down a little bit. It is Field Day. All the clubs everywhere participate. It's the biggest event for ham radio. Basically, the event is an emergency response contest. So basically, a situation happens, so you need comms. So you get 24 hours to set up a working station, and then what you do is you try to contact as many stations as you can, and what happens is they tally up the points, but you're competing against stations that are similar to you. So some stations use, this is like when you use battery power, like a certain like 5 watts or less, QRP. You're hearing all these Q codes, QRP. So basically, I'd be competing, I have one station, I'm outdoors, and I'm using 5 watts or less. So I'd be competing against all those stations. I use, how many modes are you using? Well, we use Morse code. You get certain points for that. I think it's 2 points for that. So now it turns into a little bit of a contest, a little bit of actual training. Some clubs get a little carried away as far as they'll bring in big machinery to do it. Some clubs like what I have, they're a little bit more old-fashioned. They'll just set up like stuff like this. And the guys that we have are really, really good. At one point when they were really trying, they were one of the best clubs in the East Coast. But, all right, that's my portion. I hope it was helpful to you. Do you guys have any questions?
Now, you were speaking before where you said Mars.
I didn't say Mars, but go ahead.
That was close to that. It's like, what is it, MURS or something?
Murs.
Yep.
Okay. What does that entail?
It's just an allocation of frequency. So, like, you can get Murs on this radio. So, this radio gets FRS, GMRS, Murs. It gets, I left out a couple of things there, ham radio bands, but it also picks up, like, businesses, I don't know, railroad. You can look all this stuff up. Sometimes you can pick up certain frequencies. I used to take this to work, and I used to listen to people in work. Yeah, well, it depends. People, can you pick up the cops on this? The cops use another system now, so yeah, so you really can't use this. Yeah, but most of the stations depends. It depends where you go, but they're all switching. I believe it's P25. It's a trunking type system. So, like near us, we can't. Oh, life and death situation. Use it. You're not going to get arrested or whatever. Otherwise, get the license and just play around with it.
Life and death, they put you in jail?
No.
Hots in the car.
No. He has a broken leg. He's out here in the middle of nowhere. You need help. Call. And you know what? They're not going to get you for that. They're going to get you for the people that are like la, doing stupid stuff. That's it. So, that's my presentation. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Give him a hand of applause. Good job.
If I remember right, wasn't AP talking about one of the GMRS radios that he was talking
Thank you.
about?